What's going on, guys? It's Nick here, back with another video. We've got another mock draft, and of course, now on, before we do the mock draft videos, we're going over news, we're going over the poll from the last video, and then we're going to do the stat of the day, and then we'll hop into the mock draft with a little bit of a different setup this time around. So, a few pieces of news. This last week was some franchise tags, and so we're going to go over a little bit of that. But first up, Gus Edwards remains with the Ravens. Now, we pretty much always knew this was going to happen. I guess maybe it was like a pipe dream for some people that Dobbins was going to get just all of the workload and Gus wasn't going to be used at all because maybe he leaves the team. Not going to happen. They're going to use Gus Edwards. I still really like Dobbins this season. I think we basically can just look at how last season kind of ended, that stretch where they were being used similarly, but Dobbins was still being used a little bit more, and Dobbins was the more valuable one in fantasy. I think we look at that, it's going to be very close to that, but just a little bit more towards Dobbins, maybe one or two more touches this season, but that's still going to make him incredible. A lot of touchdown upside, a lot of early down upside, so still really like him, but know that Gus is still going to remain on the Ravens. Weird statement by the Jaguars GM. So they said that, he said that James Robinson, he'll continue to do a good job, but you can only ride a horse so long. I don't really know what he's trying to say here, but when he was talking, he was basically saying that we do want to bring in some competition for James Robinson. He'll still have a nice workload, but we don't want to just have one guy. I mean, that's not what we want to hear in fantasy. Like, Robinson was exceptional last season in large part because obviously like he's talented, but he was getting all of the work. You knew when they got close, he was getting the touchdowns. You knew on third down he was getting the receptions once Thompson was injured. Like, if that's not the case, it takes a hit to his fantasy value. So I'm going to say he has a little bit more risk right now, but we'll just have to see. Does that mean they draft a running back in like the 6th or 7th round? Well, then don't worry about it. But if they draft a running back in the 2nd or 3rd round, well, now we start to scratch our heads a little bit. The Bills release John Brown. I did not think this was going to happen, but it was something that was definitely a possibility, given that he's getting up there in age. He has had a relatively long injury history. Gabriel Davis. I mean, we were really liking him. I loved drafting him before this news. Now I really like it. I only did one run of the rankings after this news. I think he'll end up higher than where I have him right now. If you want to know, I have him as a wide receiver 49 in a similar tier or the same tier as Michael Pittman and Laviska Shenault. So I viewed them pretty similarly. Honestly, though, I think it's Laviska and Gabriel Davis are the two that I would like the most, and that's saying a lot because you guys know I love Michael Pittman as well. But I really like this trio, so we are going to be targeting them for sure this season. Going to franchise tags now, though. So no franchise tag applied to Aaron Jones, Chris Carson, Jonnu Smith, Kenny Golladay, or Hunter Henry. All of those guys do not receive a franchise tag, and I do not think any of them will remain on their team. So the Packers will not keep Aaron Jones, the Seahawks are not going to keep Carson, and so on. It could happen, but it seems most likely that these guys leave. And so we're just going to have to wait and see. Does Aaron Jones go to the Dolphins? Does Carson go to a team that's going to feature him? Does Jonnu Smith go to a team that's very pass heavy? Like, we don't know where these guys are going. And so when we do, we'll take it from there. Obviously, this means like the Lions are just a dumpster fire for wide receivers. Donald Parham, really valuable tight end, potentially late this season in place of Hunter Henry. But again, at this point, we don't exactly know where they're going to go. And so when we find that out, we'll evaluate. Players to get the franchise tag, we've got Allen Robinson. Unfortunately, really wanted him to go to a team that's got a good quarterback. Maybe the Bears pull off a trade for Russell Wilson, but let's be honest, he's probably still going to have poor quarterback play this season. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. And then Godwin gets one, but they're working on a long-term deal, and they just wanted to make sure they got him. And I do think they'll get a long-term deal done. And there were no other players to like get the tag where we were like, oh man, can't believe they got the tag. Just kind of like Allen Robinson. Like, that's just unfortunate. Final one. Dak Prescott got paid 4 years, $160 million, 126 of that guaranteed. You had to know this was coming. Like, you just have such a difficult time winning in the NFL consistently if you don't have a stud quarterback, and Dak is clearly a stud quarterback, so you got to pay him. So we'll do the poll first. This is just a quick one. I asked you guys what your favorite top 4 is in PPR, and 55% of you, at least so far, actually it's up to 56, I have it up here. 56% of you, McCaffrey, then Dalvin Cook, then Kamara, then Barkley. So a little bit surprising to see, given that we don't know Kamara's quarterback. We don't know who it's going to be. Probably not going to be Breeze. We're pretty sure he's retired. Winston's a free agent. Maybe they retain him. Maybe they don't. I think it's going to be Taysom Hill. That obviously is a downgrade. And so if Taysom Hill's a quarterback, I mean, I'm taking Barkley over Kamara. I'm okay with Cook being ahead of Barkley, though. Like, I think that Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, probably interchangeable. Probably just got to go with the guy that you trust a little bit more. Both have had injury histories, but both have been phenomenal when healthy. So I think McCaffrey's pretty locked into that one spot. Cook and Barkley go kind of either way. And I think Kamara, at least for me, would be last right now until we get a little bit more clarity on that situation. We can get rid of this. This was that was what you guys did last season. So, stat of the day. Of course, I record mock drafts a little bit early, so I don't know who got this one right. This will be yesterday for you guys, though. Over the last 15 years, only one non-first round running back, so not taking the first round of the draft, has ran for over 1,000 yards before their age 22 season. I asked you who it was. It is Jonathan Taylor. Fantastic young player, going to be an absolute stud in the league. Again, recorded it early, so I don't know who won that. And again, you can answer these on YouTube as well as Twitter. We're going to be shouting out both winners when it's not these mock draft videos. Today's question. There was just one first-round wide receiver ever to have over 1,000 receiving yards before their age 22 season. Who was that? Okay, so the spots that we have not done yet, we've got 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11. I'm just gonna randomize the draft until we get one of those spots. So 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, and 11. I said it would be different this time. We're gonna do 3 receivers, no flex spot, 2 running backs. So you can only start 2 running backs. You have to start 3 receivers and full PPR, and then we're doing 5 bench spots. Defense, no kicker. Everything else will be the same. And so I put slightly high on wide receiver. I'm pretty sure that they're already going to factor that in, but I wanted to just make sure that the computer is prioritizing wide receiver a little bit more than they would on average. 8, that was one of the spots. Okay. We will draft from the 8 spot. I'd imagine, that's actually going to be tough. It depends on who gets taken here. I was going to say I imagine we go wide receiver, but we'll see. Okay, pull up the draft board here. Put this away. McCaffrey, Barkley, Kamara, Cook, Adams, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor. That is a very, very standard start to the draft. Even prioritizing the wide receiver, you still got to assume that. So even if you're in a league that is very heavy with how valuable wide receivers are, you just got to realize that, I mean, these running backs are just so valuable even in that scenario that they're going to go early. We want high drafted players. So our options. Mahomes, nope, not going to do that. Kelsey, honestly, under this setting, if I'm not going to go with a running back, I would probably go with the wide receiver because I have to start 3 of them. Obviously not taking the defense. So we're basically down to the running backs or the wide receiver. Zeke's an option, especially now that we know Dak will be the quarterback. Austin Eckler, going to be phenomenal in PPR leagues. Bit risky with Chubb, doesn't have many receptions. Bit risky with Jones, we don't know where he's going. DeAndre Swift, I mean, the offense isn't going to be great. So I think it would basically be down to Zeke or Eckler for this pick. There are other running backs I like, but I think you'd be able to get them a little later in the draft. So that's an option. Or we go with Tyreek Hill or DeAndre Hopkins. I don't have the PPR rankings up, but I have the half PPR. And it's Tyreek and then Hopkins. I honestly think this is a coin flip. I mean, Hopkins is more likely to have the reception lead over Tyreek Hill. We've also got the second year for Hopkins and Murray to kind of have that duo. So I think my lean here would actually be to go with Hopkins. Yeah, I think my lean in a full PPR league would be to go Hopkins over Tyreek Hill. You're so sure that he's going to be a massive part of the game plans, and again, second year, like he had such a good year. Usually we avoid wide receivers changing teams. He changed teams and still had a phenomenal season. So, like to see that. Traditionally, we'd go with Michael Thomas here, but again, I don't know who the quarterback's going to be, and that feels like a little bit too much risk to take there. We can go with Swift now. We can go with Mixon, Miles Sanders, Gibson. But I'm hoping if we pull up the cheat sheet here, there's a lot of picks in between where we go. So after us, Zeke, Eckler, Chubb, Jones. That was pretty obvious I was going to go. And then Tyreek Hill, Diggs, Metcalf, and Calvin Ridley. My thought here is that we just grab Kelsey. You guys are going to see it a ton in these mock drafts. Just got to be getting these early tight ends. My only thing is, what we always talk about, like there are options later. I could go with Irv Smith. I can go with Cole Kmet, Jonnu Smith. Donald Parham is probably just like buried in these rankings. So options. I definitely have options. I don't have to go with Kelsey. I don't think I'd go with a wide receiver here. Even though I can start 3 of them, I think I can get some more options in the middle rounds where I think a lot of these guys are actually very similar. So I don't really want to go receiver. So Kelsey, or we go with a running back. No running back is really sticking out as a huge value right now. But it's the risk that, like, what if all of this is gone by the next pick? I don't think it will be, though. I think one of these guys will still be there. And so I'm going to go with Kelsey here. We're going to hope we can take one of these running backs with our next pick. And then we'll probably end up going back to wide receiver after that. Akers gets picked just before us. That's unfortunate. We still definitely have options. So we've got Jacobs, Gibson, Clyde, Dobbins, Montgomery, James Robinson, Carson, Hunt. Tier break, I think, for me. Again, I only have the half PPR up over here, but I did these rankings. I kind of remember most of this stuff. Yeah, so Akers was the tier break in tier 2. Swift starts the next one, but he's gone. So Gibson. I have Gibson and then Jacobs in half PPR, and so that's going to be even more amplified in full PPR. You guys know I'm a huge Antonio Gibson truther this season. I think he has the upside to easily be a top 5 running back, and I think he's got a very, very, very secure floor, a very secure role, and so those are the players I go after whenever I can get them. It looks like we're still going to have Dobbins at our next pick, which is really nice. So big run on receiver. So after us, we see the rest of those running backs I was hoping would stay on the board. Jacobs, James Robinson, and Clyde. They're all gone, so we can't take them. Then we see 5 receivers in a row. McLaurin, Mike Evans, Galladay, Amari Cooper, and Robert Woods. Maybe, well, I guess not a little bit early for Robert Woods now that he's got Stafford at quarterback. So that's not bad. We're obviously not doing tight end. I still think it's a little bit early for our quarterback pick. Like, I'm looking at the board and only Mahomes is gone, and so I don't think we need to attack that position yet. But we do feel good about everything. Remember, we're building up consistently in this roster, and it's what we like to do, so we can go with any position. If we had taken 3 running backs to start, we would not be allowed to take Dobbins at this pick because it's just the marginal benefit would just be so much lower. So Antonio Gibson, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, really solid core. I look back at wide receiver, and again, I kind of see a lot of similarities. What is separating DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp from Will Fuller? I guess we don't know where he's going to be, but Will Fuller, expect him to be in Houston. T. Higgins, Cortland Sutton. Ayuk, Lamb, Chark, even like Boyd, all these guys, there's really not much separating them. And I'm pretty sure one of these guys will be available at the next pick. And I don't necessarily need 2 of them. And even though I can only start 2 running backs, I'd still like 2 good running backs. So looking at that, Dobbins, David Montgomery, Carson, Hunt, tier break. Remember that. So looking at my rankings, it's Dobbins, then Carson, then Hunt. This is definitely not as beneficial as half PPR because we do not expect Dobbins to have many receptions. So you could go with him or David Montgomery at this pick. I think both of them are really, really solid options. I think Dobbins is more talented, And given that he'll be in his second season, he was so good to close last season. I don't know if they'll still have this up. He was just so good to close. And, like, I know that they don't have, like, he doesn't have these receptions, right? Close the season, 5 games. Wow, 5 games in a row to close the season, at least regular season, 1 total reception. But he was still, you know, in that range. He had a top 5 or a 6th overall game for full PPR. He was around that running back 20 in a lot of these weeks, and I feel like that's the range we're at. I mean, I have him at 17 in half PPR. It's just these touchdowns. I mean, and again, this is in his rookie season when he's only getting like 11 to 15 carries. If what happens, if what I think happens, then he gets a few more. So now he's not in that 11 to 15 range. He's in that 13 to 17 range. And that might not seem like a lot, but it's definitely beneficial to him. Like look at the games where he's had the touches, right? You give him 15 carries at 113 rushing yards. 15 carries is at 15 carries, 70 and a touchdown. 13 carries, 53 and a touchdown. 14 carries, 64 and a touchdown. 13 carries, 160 and 2 touchdowns. Like, if he's getting a workload, he's gonna score like 10 touchdowns next season. Like, he's just going to do that. And so having that, plus he's extremely talented as a player, he could do even better than we've been seeing in this range. I just feel more confident taking him than I do David Montgomery. But I'm still a David Montgomery truther. I still think he's a great player in fantasy. Maybe not the running back that a lot of people hoped he was going to be, but that doesn't mean in fantasy we don't know. He's going to have a secure workload. He's going to have receptions. I just think that also with Cohen coming back, it's like maybe the reception ceiling isn't high as we are thinking. So we've got 2 guys I like. Antonio Gibson, Dobbins, got Hopkins and Kelsey. We do want to start loading up on some of these receivers that have higher end potential. But on the flip side, we have a chance here with Kareem Hunt to just lock up one of these bench spots to be like, hey, I'm good with Hunt. Like in pretty much any matchup, if like Dobbins or Gibson is hurt or on bye, if I need to throw in Kareem Hunt, I'm perfectly comfortable doing that. And he's still got that upside of if Chubb went down, Hunt's going to be extremely valuable. So definitely an option there. Melvin Gordon's an option. Was it a DUI? I don't remember everything about it. But his case is like dismissed now. He's not going to get, I guess the league could hand down punishments, but it doesn't seem like he's getting a punishment for what he did last season. So he should be good to go. Other than that though, like not attacking David Johnson, Ronald Jones, Myles Gaskin, Mostert, Connor, maybe Chase Edmonds, because if Drake does not return to the Cardinals, then they have said that they're comfortable featuring Chase Edmonds, so that could be an upside pick there. But it's basically it's like Hunt and Gordon, and then a drop down to Dillon, and then to Harris, and it's kind of shaky as we get beyond that. So locking up Hunt, is this the quick one? This is the quick one, so there's only going to be 8 picks that go by between us and the next one. I can get Hunt, abandon this range basically, and I'll probably get someone over here and hope that it's basically Chark, Fuller, Sutton, Samuel. Obviously, it would be nice to get multiple of these guys, but I mean, like I've said, like I really like a lot of people in this range as well, and so I think that's what I'm gonna do. Take Kareem Hunt, and then we'll start attacking wide receiver again. Not many went, I feel like, at least looking at it initially. Yeah, only Lockett, Fuller, and Chark went. I was thinking about Chark, but I think honestly we're just going to grab LaVisca. Okay. So here it comes down to probably this trio, Sutton, Boyd, and Odell. I've already taken Kareem Hunt, so I lean against doing that if I ever can, because I do think this is a toss-up. I'll pull up wide receiver in the rankings, and I'll tell you guys what I have for that right now. I have is Fuller still on the board? He's not. Okay. I have Odell at the wide receiver 27, Sutton at the wide receiver 28, then Curtis Samuel, then Tyler Boyd. All very close to each other, but I do have Odell one spot higher there. That's in half. I don't really think there's a huge difference here between half and full PPR. We are in the 6th round, and this is where we start just completely abandoning floor. Kind of in the 5th round too, but in the 6th round, really, I don't care about the floor. Like the people I'm picking right now, you're not going to think it drafting, but a lot of them you're just not going to have on your team to close the season. And so I want players that have huge ceiling. I want someone and honestly, I'm saying this, I think Odell and Sutton both have that. I think they both have a phenomenal ceiling. I would say that maybe there's a chance with Sutton that Jerry Jeudy takes a step forward, because I do think he's very talented and he kind of underperformed in that first season. He could take a step forward. Maybe Sutton isn't going to bounce back from the torn ACL as quickly as we think. And I'm pretty sure Odell's going to be 100% good to go to start this season. So my lean is to go Odell right now. Again, I said I lean against taking like Hunt and Odell. But realistically, also Hunt is my bench option. And if I'm going for ceiling, I probably would go with Odell at this pick. So we're going to take him. We're probably going to take another receiver, unless there's a running back that's really sticking out and we think that we might be able to get another good receiver there. No, not necessarily. I think I would honestly take A.J. Dillon next. So let's not go with running back. You could also go with Fournette here if you think he's going to re-sign. We could also go quarterback. I've kind of not been talking about quarterback. Maybe we should have considered that with the last pick. Where were we? We were here and went this way. So Sutton does go next. And only Watson gets taken at quarterback. So our options at quarterback are Rodgers, Wilson, Herbert. I think we can actually wait, because I'd be comfortable with any of those three. I'd be comfortable. I don't think right now I'd be comfortable with Burrow, because I don't 100% know what his recovery is. I think he's going to be good to go, but I can't possibly be sure of that. It was actually a very major injury, and so I would lean against that, I think. But Jalen Hurts, listen, I'm comfortable with that. Especially at this point in the offseason, because even if they were to draft someone and he wasn't going to win the job, I don't think either of those are likely. But even if that happens, you're so far out that, and in a one quarterback league, you're going to have options, I promise. And so I'd be comfortable with that, which means I can probably wait one more round. And so if I think I'm going to not take a tight end, obviously, if I think I can wait more on running back and quarterback, let's go with receiver here. And again, if we're talking about upside, got to be Chase Claypool, right? I mean, he has the upside to be the number one in Pittsburgh, especially if Deontay Johnson continues with as many drops as he's had. So Claypool here. Maybe we swing back and take quarterback. Only Rodgers got taken. And so since we're kind of outside of that range, if we were wondering on taking, we've got this Mahomes, Allen, Kyler, Watson, Lamar, Dak. That's kind of like the top 6, fairly secure in there. Maybe if we were into a tier break after this one we were taking, we would consider taking a quarterback here. But I mean, I think I'm still going to have options at my next pick, and so I'm going to wait a little bit longer. If we go to running back, we've still got that option of Leonard Fournette and A.J. Dillon. We have rounded out our wide receivers, and I love the upside of our receivers here with Hopkins, Odell, and Claypool. Again, we can start so many of them that my thinking here is we take LaVisca, we go back to running back or wide receiver or quarterback on our next pick. Hopefully, we can grab Gabriel Davis. Has he been taken? I don't know where he's ranked on this site. I have no idea. I feel like it was probably already taken. I don't know. I guess I can control F here. Go to the cheat sheet. Oh, God. Oh, what have I done? Okay, whatever. We're not going to do that. Oh, wait. There's got to be a search bar. There's got to be. If you're listening, Fantasy Pros, and you don't have a search bar, there's no search bar? What are you guys doing? All right. I'll click the correct buttons this time. There. Oh, there it is. Okay. There we go. He's East. What? 224? That can't be correct. There's no way. No, there's no way it's actually down there. There's no way. There's no way. Oh, they won't even let me go that low. No. I definitely read it wrong. What? Why are people ranking him at 2? It doesn't make any sense to me. Whatever. All right. Well, the ranking on him is completely wrong. So if you're doing your drafts right now, 85. I found him. Okay. I don't know what they're showing there, but also this is way too low for Gabriel Davis, which means we can wait on him. So we could take, like I said, Laviska now. We go back to these two, maybe in our next two picks, and then we take Davis. Does that kind of work out for us? Because we would get Laviska, a running back, Davis. Yeah, we're going to do that. And I think Laviska can have a phenomenal season coming up here. It looks like another quarterback is taken in Herbert. And did Wilson get taken? Pretty sure both of those guys went. So Herbert and Wilson both go. So we are starting to lose some of these quarterbacks. But again, I'm perfectly comfortable with Hurts. We should probably take Fournette because if he signs there, that's just too easy, right? Like they hate Ronald Jones. Like I don't understand it fully. But they hate Ronald Jones. And so if Fournette can re-sign, he could have a season like he had in the playoffs. And that's just, ooh. All right, well, what we can actually do here, how many running backs do we have? We have enough running backs. We can honestly just take Pittman, take quarterback, take Gabriel Davis, take defense. That's what we'd like to do. So Pittman, I waited too long. Did he go? He was the pick before us. How rude is that, right? There goes Hurts. So let's see what options are at quarterback. We can just go with Stafford. Again, I think you need a mobile quarterback, but also Stafford's probably going to ball out on the Rams. So I am comfortable with that. If I didn't go with Stafford, you'd probably just take a shot on Trevor Lawrence. You'd maybe take a shot on Wentz. Wouldn't feel great about that, though. That is probably what I would end up doing. I would just take a shot on Trevor Lawrence. But yeah, Stafford, that feels like a no-brainer to me. I mean, he's going to get really nice skill players. He's going to be, he goes from having just absolute dumpster fire of a coaching staff to having McVay, who's a phenomenal coach. So, yeah, huge upgrade there. We'll go down here. We'll take Gabriel Davis. We're going to get dinged big time for that. They're going to think that was a reach. It's a good pick in Jonnu Smith. So actually, I want to take a look at some of where these tight ends went. Where even is? There we go. We would probably take the Bucs. I feel like we take them every time, but they're probably the best pick here. So they're definitely going to ding us for reaching for some of these receivers, but they're not actually reaches. All right. There we make the team a little bigger. And then I want to go over tight ends and kind of see what could have happened there. So we're starting lineup. Stafford, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Hopkins, Odell, Claypool, Kelsey, and the Bucks. And then we've got Kareem Hunt, Laviska, Leonard Fournette, Pittman, and Gabriel Davis. I love that bench, and I love the upside of the receivers. And even if like Odell didn't work out, Claypool didn't work out, I feel good enough about Laviska, Pittman, Gabriel Davis. Some of these guys are going to work out for sure. So I actually really, really like how that team came out. But what I wanted to check is, let's say we'd gone double receiver. So maybe we'd have taken like Julio. So we started off with DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones. My thinking is that in probably like this range, we would have taken a guy. So we would have liked, Jonnu Smith would have been really nice. So instead of Gabriel Davis. So what would you prefer? There's our what if. Would you rather Travis Kelce and Gabriel Davis, or to take Julio Jones at that pick and pair him with Jonnu Smith, or pair him if Jonnu Smith I mean, I could fathom him not getting a contract somewhere, but if he went to a garbage situation, put Parham in there, or honestly, Mike Gesicki. Your favorite of those options. So Parham, Gesicki, Jonnu Smith, any of them, whoever you would have taken, paired with Julio Jones, or would you rather have Travis Kelce and Gabriel Davis? Put that in the comment section, and that'll be what we'll evaluate next week as far as the poll. And I'll post the poll on Twitter if you want to take part in that to get the percentages. And then, of course, remember the stat of the day. Put the answer to the stat of the day in the comment section below, and as well as on Twitter. And we'll be shouting out the winners of those in the next video. That, my friends, is the end of this one. Hope you all did enjoy. If you did, then how about hitting that like button? And how about subscribing to the channel if you're new? Thanks for watching.